Hello YouTube, Jared finally back after a hiatus for some hand repair. My finger is finally doing better, though it is still pretty swollen and red, but I am finally back to painting, and it is finally time for the Tau update. This is my entire Tau army. I have added some more models from a second trade lot, plus the Piranha and maybe one other thing that I added, so I have finally got my entire army done. It is, as of time of recording, 2,485 points, and it is 3/5 of the way painted. It's hard to tell exactly, and you'll see why in a second, how to calculate the exact points that I have. But I'm making a ton of progress. The two big things that I've gotten done recently, I finally got all my crisis suits painted, all 7 of them, and then I got the last 2 tanks done. And so this project is starting to feel a lot closer to done, though it isn't quite done yet. But hopefully I'll be finishing this project sooner than later. I'm back on paint and Tau, and everything's assembled, everything's primed. A few things obviously still need the white dry brush on it that I always do before I start to lighten them up. But then once I get that done, it's gonna mostly be painting some infantry, some stealth boys over there, and then a couple of the bigger guys. And then I'm just about done, though drone pile still needs work too, so I guess I have to put that on the list. And then we'll talk about basing here in a second. So let me walk you through the army, what we got so far. First thing up, I have my Kit Bash Dark Strider. Big fan of this guy. So he is my first hero. I think he's the only epic hero I have. And then for characters, I have 2 Cadre Fireblades. The first one I have that I painted off, he's ready. And then I got a second one in the trade. And so this guy will be joining the front lines, which is good because I have a lot more infantry. And so this guy didn't want to have to handle it all by himself. I also still have my 2 Ethereals. They're both slightly different, so I can tell them apart. They're both done. And I have, for infantry, I have now 2 Breacher teams. I have a second Breacher team over here, Pathfinder team, Breacher team here, and then for the Breacher team, I put a, let's see if you can see it, a little red stripe in his armor pattern. So those guys have a little marking, and then their guns are painted slightly different. And then I have all the turrets for them, and then I have, after them, a bunch of strike teams. So 1, 2 painted, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 not painted. So about 40 of these guys to paint, Breacher squad, Pathfinders. So that is a solid 60 Tau that need to be painted. So we'll be doing some batch painting here in the next week or so, but hopefully knock that chunk out. And when that chunk's down, this will feel like an army. And it's a pretty fun horde army. I don't have any Kroot. I have 1 Kroot model from one of the board games, but this is a pure Tau infantry, old school army. And it really is fun to have that big block of infantry. There's just something really fun about having squad after squad of infantry moving forward. So really happy with that, especially because I was able to get a second squad of the Breachers to give me the other weapon option, and they're better at close quarters, kind of a shotgun unit. So that's super excited. And then the Pathfinders are going to be super fun. As I talked about in a previous video, if you can even remember back that far, be what, in November, I guess, is the last time I was updating on these before the accident. But the fun thing about the Pathfinders is I actually was one of the very first kits I ever painted. So I'm excited to paint these guys because they'll be in the new scheme. And I decided not to go back and paint strip my original squad. And so these guys will get painted up in the new scheme, and then I'll have an old squad for kill team in my original scheme. And then that way I can kind of keep that for now. And I may eventually repaint it and move it over, but I've got 60 more guys to paint. I don't want to paint 70. And this list is at 2,400 points plus. It doesn't need anything else. Next thing on the roster here is the stealth suits. Super happy with these guys. They're in 3 different kinds of camo patterns. I'll pull them up so you can hopefully see them a little better. And I was super bummed at first because the squad size was shifted from 3 to 5. And then I got a trade lot that happened to have more than 6 complete models in it, including an extra set of the fusion blasters, which you can barely see because I haven't dry brushed them yet. But now I have all the fusion blasters and all the models I need. And I had to kit bash 1 or 2 missing arms. I think there was like 7 or 8 in the batch, but 2 or 3 of them are missing arms, and so I had to combine them and reconfigure them and replace some of the antenna on the few of the broken antenna. But they're good. That'll give me 3 squads of 5, and I think the point value went up too, so that actually wound up being a nicer chunk of points. So overall, I'm happy on that. And that brings us to the broadside battlesuits. And I love this model. This is one of the first models I painted. And you'll notice he's a little different. This is actually the basing that I'm going to do on all the models. He was the first one I tested on. And so what this is, it is Griff Charger contrast paint as the base layer. And then I have a whole bunch of pastels that I ground up. I got this from an 8-year-old Eons of Battle video about grinding up pastels. So I ground up some pastels, and then I use, actually I have it right here, isopropyl alcohol as the liquid, and then I dab it with a sponge and then dab the base, and it gives it that really red Martian sand. And so I ground up a bunch of pastels. They're in an old makeup container, and so I can dab that and rub the powder on, and then the isopropyl helps it kind of stick to the base, and so it doesn't make a mess when I do that. Or tap it. It keeps my fingers clean. And then I have a few tufts on here too, just to give it kind of that desert look. I might put some final rocks on a couple of them, and some of them have like the milliput or the cork buildup as well too. But overall, really happy with this, but now I've got to base everybody, so that's going to be a whole project in of itself. But I like this guy. He's got the missile, he's got the double gun here, and then the new one I got in a trade deal, I was very happy to see, has the awesome railgun, has the missile, but he's got the other missile launcher too. And so that's going to be super fun. He'll have a slightly different loadout, and so they'll be able to fight alongside each other. And then I got my Ghost Keel back here. This is the one with the cockpit, and he's got the big fusion weapon. And then the one I got on the trade has the other gun. I'm trying to remember what this thing's called. I want to say it's a Cylon Iron Raker. I think it's an ion black gun, if I remember right. So he'll be able to fight alongside his friend, but with a different weapon for different applications. And these guys, I want to say deep strike. They like jump out, and they're like a speedy mech unit, and they jump out of cover and blast something. So it'll be nice to have different options for both of them. And then, of course, we've got the triple threat here in the back of the Skyray gunship, the Devilfish, which is just the troop transport, and then the big gun, the Hammerhead gunship. And it does have the ion attachment, so I can replace the big gun, but I'm really happy. These were fun to paint up. They actually painted up really fast, too. The first one was the hardest one to paint, but after that, these guys painted up nicely. They've got that kind of dirty desert look to them, but they're going to be fun. I can't wait to see what those things do on the battlefield, and that really brings this army together and really kind of solidifies it. And the nice thing too is everything pops apart, and so I have an extra hatch here. So if I wanted to turn one of them into an extra troop transport and switch it to a Devilfish, I can do that. If I wanted to move the guns around or change something up, it's very, very doable at this point to kind of change out the loadout on those. So pretty modular loadout. The little guns come off, and then I think the only other thing was a Piranha. I've showed that off in a previous video. That was the only kit I purchased as new, just as a little treat to myself, and it came out wonderfully. So really, really happy with that. This is such a cool little kit here, and so I like that one a lot. The other thing I went in back and did is I cleaned up my fusion blasters. So that fusion blaster and then these fusion blasters, I painted them black with the blue inset. Originally, it was just the regular orange color, but orange on the fusion blue just doesn't look good to me. And so I cleaned that up a little bit, and that helps it pop out just a little bit more. But this is the Tau army. I want to say it's almost done. And then I remember I have to batch paint 60 infantry, 3 big mechs, 6 smaller mechs, and then pile of drones, which I don't even want to think about. And then I got to do all of the basing on everybody, minus the one guy who I did the test model. So this project is coming along in terms of leaps and bounds, but at the same time isn't done. But overall, I'm really, really happy with it. And the crisis suits, I didn't show these guys off enough. The crisis suits came out so well. And I love the way the blasters look and they're posed. A lot of these, if you remember, the very, very first video had broken off legs. And so it was a chore to glue all their legs back together. And then I put them on the cork bases to kind of give them some more lift. And then a couple of them are in kind of strange poses. This guy is kind of mid-jump, I guess, but that's all right. He still looks kind of cool. I had him kind of pushing off from the cork base. But he came out pretty good. And then I made sure the weapons are actually organized on them, and they have a commander with a white helmet. And then, last but certainly not least, the leader of the army, the Cold Star Commander here, he has the distinct pleasure of having all of his weapons magnetized. I didn't magnetize everybody's, but his are. And so he has, I don't know if you can see it down here. Let me move my camera. Yeah, he has 4 weapons here and then 4 on him. And so he is fully modular. He has a flamethrower option right here. He's got the flamethrower. He's got the suit boost. He's got different plasma and grenade launchers and a different grenade launcher and a missile rack and more plasma and more fusion and the whole set. So on one hand, it was nice because it gave me a chance to paint all of the weapons pretty much and then kind of get a feel for what I want stuff to look at. And then the other hand, it'll be nice to have one guy who's just completely modular and I can switch stuff around at leisure and turn him into whatever I want him to be. And so he can kind of switch guns out however I feel like and move things around. So if I want him to have wrist rockets and this big grenade launcher looking thing, I can do that. But that makes him for a really fun commander. And so he's kit bashable, I guess, for every battle because he's got the magnets on him. But got to have one magnetized thing. He was the guy to do. And then I think I'm calling him a Cold Star commander just because the old Crisis Suit leader is already Legends, and he'll be gone by the summer by the time I'm actually playing the game. So wasn't even worth trying to call that. So what I did for him is I got the bigger base size. I put some failed recast of the missiles on his base and kind of built him up on the terrain. So he's standing a little bit taller. He's got upgraded shoulder pads to make him a little bit broader than the regular guy. But, I mean, ultimately, he's almost the same thing. But you can tell just with the extra shoulder pads and the fancier base, he's just a little bit bigger and a little bit more imposing. And then you throw a grenade launcher on the guy's back like this. And he, not like that, like this. And he's definitely the guy in charge. So I'm really happy with him. I like it. He's got some character. He's my little dude. Normally I try to use the models as is, but it made more sense to kind of kit bash this guy up. And I like how almost reposable he is, though his arms don't move. So that's been really, really fun. But this is my Tau army. I'm super happy with it. Thank you for bearing with me as I recovered from my finger injury. I sliced it pretty good. So 11 stitches later, I'm healed up. Still have to paint in slower sessions than I used to just because if I paint too long, it does start to bruise a little bit and I get some pain. But if I paint at a regular speed, it's not too bad and I'm able to keep going. And I was able to paint 2 tanks and 7 crisis suits in the last week or so and really, really missed painting. So that's been super excited. So this project's coming along nicely. Hopefully the next video will be complete. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you are too. Hope you're having fun on whatever projects you're working on. And then I've got a lot more projects coming up. So if you haven't already, subscribe, please subscribe. I've got a lot of fun projects lined up for this year. My goal is to paint 11 40K armies between now and middle of 2027. So by the time we get to the middle of the next edition, I want to have 11 armies in 11th edition. So by the middle of 11th edition, I want to have all the armies done. That way I can really enjoy playing the game and actually get these things on the tabletop and write a scenario and play a big campaign game. That would be really fun. That's the dream. And I'm planning on making a video here soon. I have all of my Age of Sigmar armies just about finished up, and so they're going to hopefully be hitting the table as a campaign game here soon too. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned for that. I really do enjoy writing campaigns, and so that's something else I'll be working on, but that's for another video. So thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.